What's up everyone, Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick and I have another album review for you. So again, this is kind of one that really wasn't on my radar, but it was coming out and I vaguely remembered this band's name and I decided I wanted to check it out. So I am going to go over the newest offering from Lawnmower Deth, Blunt Cutters. And I don't think that title has anything to do with weed. I think it's with lawnmowers because that's their shtick, even though there's only like a little bit of lawnmower-esque humor on here, I think. I don't know. This band's weird. So this comes out on the 28th of January on Dissonance Productions. John, did you form a record label? Come on, John. God, this is your record label, isn't it? Come on. Seriously though, it should be your record label. Anyway, this band formed in 1987 in England. This is their fourth full length and their first one in almost 30 years. I believe the last one was called Billy, and it came out in 1994, and I don't know if people liked it very much, but this band is kind of odd. This is crossover thrash, but it's very goofy. Like, I don't think anything is taken seriously on here, especially when it comes down to lyrics and sometimes even song structure. Honestly, I think the main reason I remember these guys is because the album cover of their debut, oh crikey, it's Lawnmower Deth, which I dare you to get more English than that, was actually the first album cover that Dan Seagrave ever did. I believe that's correct. And I think it's a pretty interesting, kind of hilarious cover, which hilarious really isn't a thing you associate with Dan Seagrave's work now, but I mean, back then he was just trying to do some different stuff. But anyway, let's get back to actually talking about the band. So, first album in almost 30 years. They came out with an 18-track album, which I know that sounds like a lot of tracks, but most of them are short, and don't worry, their debut had 32 on it, I believe. But this is pretty much just straight up humorous crossover thrash. Very punky, too. Like, most of this is actually more close to punk than I think it is to metal at times. Like, there's definitely some thrashy bangers on here, but there's a lot of punk rock and just sort of that punk rock goofiness, and, well, goofy is definitely a word for this. Now the opening two tracks, Into the Pit and I Don't Want To, which I feel like is a conversation I've had with my friends when I was younger when we were drinking at shows, both kind of come out swinging. They're straight up crossover thrash, very fast, high octane, punky riffs, but also big machine gun riffing in there. Production here is pretty good. I mean, it's a little dry, but you know, it's okay. I think the vocals are kind of out in front a bit. And I mean, I think that's kind of necessary with the amount of talking and singing and yelling and growling that they do. There's a lot of different approaches on here. I'm not entirely sure it's just one guy, but if it is, he's working a lot. But a lot of this pretty much sounds like what you'd expect from D.R.I, S.O.D, and especially some suicidal tendencies, not only because I don't want to throw another band with an anagram on there, but the song Now He's a Priest actually kind of sounds like an old suicidal track. The riff screams something you would hear on Join the Army. It's got a good punky stomp to it. The drums on here are actually really solid. The drummer actually kind of relates to one of our retro reviews. He's the current drummer of the punk band Consumed, which Consumed is the punk band that at one point was Desecrator, and we just did a retro review of her that I thought that was kind of funny that kind of connected there. But he's also the only one with a normal name listed on here, Chris Billum, and he does a good job. But the rest of them, well, I'm going to have to read it because the names are ridiculous. We have guitarist Schizo Rotary Sprintmaster and Concord Face Ripper, and bassist Mighty Mo Destructimo, that one's my favorite, and vocalist Qualcast Mutilator. I have no idea what any of that shit means, but they are ridiculously goofy names for a ridiculously goofy band, so why not have them? Now, when this band is serious about the riffing and the song structure, they do pretty damn well. Death, Maim, Kill, absolute ripper, very Slayer-ish. It actually is probably one of the darker songs. I mean, I'm sure the lyrics are goofier than hell, but the music overall is very much in that realm again of Slayer. Bands like Sodom, you know, Creator. It's just kind of heavy and dark sounding despite the tongue-in-cheek subject matter, I'm sure. And Nothing But Noise just drives like a D beat down your fucking throat and just kind of rocks it out and backs up with some solid punky thrashy riffs. Pure fucking fun. Now, this kind of comes to my issue with the band. When they're serious, about like writing songs and hooks, they do a really good job. Again, those opening 2 tracks absolutely whoop ass. That's pretty much what I expect from crossover thrash. But unfortunately, I think a lot of this was humor first and then music second, because you get a lot of dumb tracks. Like, just dumb for the sake of being dumb. It's like very endearing dumb, like, oh, that's hilarious because I don't know why. But regardless, you actually chuckle to yourself. Like, hey, that was kind of funny. But this is more like watching a stand-up comedian struggle on stage and looking out the shots of the crowd, and they're just on their phones and just looking at them like, it's fucking dying, aren't you? Songs like Raise Your Snails. First off, I don't know why that's funny, because it's, I don't know, like, it's about snails. Like, I don't know what the thought process was there. Like, hey, instead of the saying, raise your sails, let's make it snails. Okay, why? Snails. Yeah, but why is that funny? Because it's a pun? That's about as far as I think it went, and it was approved. The song itself is okay. The lyrics really don't, like, make the joke kind of come alive. Like, it just sounds like, well, they're talking about snails. And you're just kind of just scratching your head like, well, is there something I'm missing here? But I don't know if there actually is. Then, of course, there are these intermittent short tracks that kind of go nowhere and maybe tell a story. You have Good Morning Phil and Goodnight Bob. Good Morning Phil and Goodnight Bob are kind of both conversations with thrashy riffs and some blast beats, all for about 30 seconds each. I don't know what's going on in either. I'm reasonably sure, though, in Good Morning Phil, Phil might have got called a cumbag. I don't know what Phil did, but he pissed off someone. And Bob, I mean, I think at that point in the album, I was just like, just go the fuck to sleep, Bob. No one gives a shit about your day. And then there's some songs here where I feel like I should love them because they reference something that I hold dear to my heart, like Space Herpes. It's a reference to the movie Ice Pirates. I fucking love that movie. It's just pure 80s cheese. And somehow they just make it a really dull song that just kind of goes nowhere. And when they try to get like a little bit more creative in the songwriting, it's kind of a mixed bag. Hell's Teeth kind of starts off with that punky D beat, solid riff, and then it starts doing these weird transitions to blast beats, and then to this obnoxious clean chorus that sounds like it's a Muppet kind of joining in the studio just to sing a few lines. It really is just bad, and I just flat out didn't like it. And it sucks because like that opening bit, absolutely killer, and the bits before these weird transitions were really cool. And then the last track, Agents of S.O.D, tries to like venture out. Like, it's the slowest song in terms of it being a little bit more mid-tempo, and there's definitely a lot of dynamics going on, but it has these strange clean vocals in there and weird spoken word, some synths, and I don't know, it feels like they were just kind of making up for all the fuckery that was going on before that with something that felt more composed. But honestly, it just kind of sticks out for being like, well, the effort's cool, but at this point I'm kind of checking out, especially since the song before it, Power Bagging, which I assume is about a lawnmower something or other. I don't know. I mean, these guys are weird. It could be about a different style of teabagging where you have to jump off of a table first onto your buddy's face, and then of course lose your friend forever because either he dies or he never talks to you again. Pretty sure it's about the lawnmower thing though. But this song opens up with a flat out killer fucking breakdown. It fucking whoops ass. Honestly, probably one of the most headbangable moments on the entire album where you're like, yeah, this is fucking sweet. And honestly, the rest of the song kicks ass. But it's sandwiched between Goodnight Bob and Agents of Cobb, so you're just like, well, man, dude, if they had actually stripped this down to a handful of really good songs and kind of ditched a lot of this weird filler that's really uneven, this might have been a really kick-ass album. But instead, this whole album is kind of like navigating a sea of small tracks that really don't go anywhere. Comedy that, I don't know, it feels like inside jokes. Like, I'm sure it's funny to people that actually listen to the band a lot more than I do, but I don't get it. So, I don't know, that's sort of, exclusive humor doesn't really do much for me, and I don't think it's going to really win many more listeners. But in between all that stuff, there are some really good songs. Songs I would gladly jam again, but I just don't like the fact that there's all this weird filler on it. And what sucks is I do like the fun nature of this band. Like, they clearly are doing this because they love it. They're having fun with it. It's just, I think that takes over more so than the actual songwriting, because these range from really fucking good to goddamn irritating at a certain point. And this is only 34 minutes long, so if you cut out a lot of those short bullshit tracks, you would probably have a more concise, like, 25 minutes, or you just keep the tracks that are really good and just put out a banger of an EP. I just feel like this was extended out for reasons. And I know the earlier stuff packed on a lot of tracks too, but they also had a lot of extra stuff in there that was just like, well, this is clearly filler in between really good songs. But I think back then this might have been a little bit more endearing. I don't know. I just know that I really enjoyed parts of this, but most of this I was really not into. So overall, I'm gonna give this 2 stars. The songs that I love in here are really good. Like, I would go back and jam them. Power bagging, whatever it's about, could be about the ball thing, it's an awesome song. Death, Maim, Kill absolutely whoops ass. First 2 tracks, Into the Pit and I Don't Want To, I understand both sides of the conversation, and I think those are awesome tracks, but holy shit, there's a lot of extra stuff in here that just feels goofy for the sake of being goofy. I like humor in metal. I think it's great to add levity. You know, often metal is very serious, you know, kind of all the time. A little bit of that humor kind of spices it up and, you know, makes it a little bit more fun. This, I think, kind of forces it too much. And again, I think they focused on the humor aspect more than they did on the songs, because some of the songs just feel like half-baked ideas. Whereas other songs feel like they 100% focus on writing killer music and then throw in whatever the fuck they're talking about on top of it. That's where they succeeded. But unfortunately, throughout most of this, like 18 tracks, and I think I had, looks like 7 of them marked down as, yeah, those are really good. So that's not a solid ratio. But that's just my opinion. I urge you to check this out on your own, form your own opinion. Who knows, you might love the shit out of this. I think it's kind of underwhelming, unfortunately, and, you know, maybe they get it right on the next one. I hope they do a next one, and I hope it comes out swinging, and it's still goofy and hilarious, but just with some better songs. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there will be a link down below. T-shirts are coming. We've been informed that they are being made, so it is only a matter of time, and soon we will do a little display video and show them off, and mention that we're doing a giveaway in that video as well, because we're about to hit 10,000 subs, and it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you guys so damn much. There is no accounting for taste, and you guys are proof of that because you keep following us. So thank you from the bottom of our heart once again, and we will catch you later.